You ever see something so obvious happening in plain sight, but no one in power wants to call it out? That's exactly what's going on with Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns right now. What started as quiet fan frustration has blown up into a full-blown scandal. And let's just say, it's not looking good for Jimmy Haslam and company, because the Browns aren't just managing Shedeur's development. They're stonewalling it. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. The word is out. Shedeur Sanders has been showing out in training camp. Every throw, sharp. Every read, quick. Every drill, locked in. And yet he's sitting, relegated to clipboard duty while names like Dylan Gabriel, before he imploded, and other backups take reps that, frankly, Sanders has earned. This isn't a developmental slow play. This is looking more and more like sabotage. And that's not just fan talk. That's not some message board meltdown. We're talking Stephen A. Smith, Lewis, Riddick, Jason Lloyd, all coming out publicly to say what everyone else is thinking but too afraid to say. Shedeur is being benched not because of merit, but because of politics. And at the top of that political food chain, Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, who's already made it very clear that Shedeur wasn't his guy. Let's rewind for a second. Back on draft day, when Shedeur slipped to the 5th round, there were already whispers, not about his talent, not about his film, but about his image, his brand, about who his father is. And the moment Jimmy Haslam made his offhand comment, "We didn't really plan on drafting him," everything clicked into place. That wasn't just a throwaway quote. That was the mask slipping. From that point on, the writing was on the wall. Shedeur wasn't just going to have to compete. He was going to have to survive inside an organization that clearly didn't want him there to begin with. Let's talk about Deion Sanders for a second, because this is where the whole thing starts to get personal. Deion is loud. He's proud. He's unapologetically black, successful, and confident. That rubs certain people, especially in old-school NFL ownership circles, the wrong way. And so now, by extension, Shedeur is carrying that target. He's not allowed to just be a young, talented quarterback finding his way. He's being treated like a symbol, like a threat. And the Browns are managing him accordingly, not based on what he can do, but on who he represents. Deion's already come out swinging. You could feel it in every interview. Coach Prime has always been vocal, but this time it wasn't flashy, it was personal. He knows what's going on. He sees the game being played behind the scenes. And he's made it clear, Shedeur's done everything right. He's studied, he's prepared, and he's shown up ready to compete. If the Browns won't give him the shot he's earned, that's on them. And honestly, Coach Prime's restraint has been remarkable. Because if this was happening to any other rookie QB, a 5th-rounder lighting up practice with a Heisman-caliber pedigree, he'd be everywhere. He'd be running the twos, getting preseason headlines, being treated like a diamond in the rough steel. But with Shedeur, crickets. You don't hear the Browns hyping him up. You don't see coordinated media praise. You barely even get post-practice comment from coaches. The entire organization is playing a deliberate game of downplay and deflect. And the media is starting to notice. Jason Lloyd of The Athletic didn't hold back. He straight up said the Browns are kneecapping Shedeur's trajectory, and not because of football reasons. That's a bombshell. In NFL circles, calling out a front office for intentional sabotage is a rare, loaded accusation. And yet here we are, because the evidence is stacking up and the silence from the Browns is deafening. Let's talk performance. Reports from camp say Shedeur is one of the most composed quarterbacks on the field. His footwork, already polished. His mechanics, tight. His ability to lead the huddle and command respect, immediate. And yet, he's being passed over for reps. Not because he's failing, but because they don't want him to succeed too quickly. Why? Because if he does succeed, if he rises too fast, then what does that say about the people who tried to bury him in the first place? This is about control, narrative control, ego control, and quite frankly, damage control. Because if Shedeur becomes the breakout star everyone else sees, then Haslam, and by extension the entire Browns leadership, have to answer the fact that they not only didn't want him, but try to hide him. And let's not pretend this is about Shedeur's nil money or social media presence. Those excuses are tired. Every modern athlete has a brand. What Shedeur has is leverage. He's confident, he's visible, and he knows his worth. That's what's really unsettling the front office. The NFL is still clinging to a culture where young players are supposed to be quiet, humble, grateful, especially black quarterbacks. And Shedeur, he's not quiet. He's measured. He's not humble in the traditional sense. He's self-assured. He's not grateful just to be here. He's ready to compete. And somehow, that makes him difficult. You can feel the double standard in the air. If Shedeur had a different last name, if he looked different, if he didn't carry himself with pride, this would be a Cinderella story. But instead, it's being treated like a controversy. And the longer this goes on, the more it becomes clear. This isn't about reps. It's about resistance. Resistance to change. Resistance to losing control of the narrative. Resistance to giving a player like Shedeur Sanders, young, black, outspoken, legacy-minded, the keys to the franchise. And now, the pressure is mounting. Fans are starting to catch on. The preseason isn't even halfway over, and already the comments are flooding in. Why isn't Shedeur getting reps? Why are they hiding him? What is Haslam afraid of? And let's be real, the Browns fan base has been through it. Quarterback after quarterback. Promise after promise. If there's one thing Cleveland fans can spot from a mile away, it's organizational dysfunction. And right now, they're watching it unfold again in slow motion. And unlike in past years, this time it's not a lack of talent. It's a lack of trust. The Browns are sitting on a potential franchise quarterback and treating him like a PR problem. That's not just bad football. That's insane. This isn't going away. The media storm is just beginning. If Shedeur continues to shine in practice and preseason games, there will be nowhere for the Browns to hide. No quote they can spin. No comment they can backpedal. Because you can only ignore talent for so long before it becomes a story. And now, it's the only story. So what's next? Pressure. Pressure from the fan base. Pressure from analysts. Pressure from within the locker room, where teammates see the reps, see the performance, and know the truth. Pressure from Dion, who won't let his son be disrespected quietly. Pressure from a league that claims to be about fairness, equity, and opportunity, but seems deeply uncomfortable when a player actually embodies those things on his own terms. The Browns can play this off for a little while longer. They can hide behind depth charts and development talk. But eventually, the numbers will speak. The eyes won't lie. And the narrative they tried so hard to suppress will become undeniable. Shedeur Sanders is ready. He's proven it every day. And if the Browns can't see that, or worse, if they won't, then they don't just have a quarterback controversy. They've got a credibility crisis. And this time, everyone's watching. It's one thing to make a controversial draft pick. It's another to mishandle that pick so badly, so publicly, and so deliberately that the entire league starts to look at you sideways. The Cleveland Browns are now neck-deep in that second category. And with every passing day, it becomes more obvious that the way they're treating Shedeur Sanders is less about football and more about power, politics, and pride. At the center of the storm stands Shedeur, a poised, polished rookie who has done everything right and still can't get a fair shot. It's a story that's becoming eerily familiar in the NFL. A young, talented black quarterback with the wrong pedigree in the eyes of the old guard. He's not unknown. He's not a blank slate they can mold. He's got legacy, swagger, control, and worse, he's good. That's the problem for the Browns. Because Shedeur's success forces them to confront every decision they've made since draft day. It shines a bright, ugly light on the dysfunction bubbling under the surface of their quarterback room. It makes them look reactive, insecure, and out of touch. And they know it. So instead of doing the smart thing, embracing Shedeur's talent and building around it, they've chosen to contain it. They've tried to manage him like a PR threat instead of developing him like a future starter. The reps aren't coming. The media praise isn't flowing. The public backing from coaches? Muted at best. And yet, Shedeur continues to rise. Let's talk about what that actually looks like. This isn't some overhyped rookie with a big arm and no brains. Shedeur is sharp, Teammates say he shows up early, stays late, and approaches every rep like it's game day. He's precise in the film room. He's vocal when it matters and quiet when it doesn't. He knows how to lead without making it about himself. That kind of maturity doesn't just show up, it's built. Shedeur's been molded by years under the spotlight, under Deion's relentless expectations, under media scrutiny that would have broken most players. And instead of cracking, he hardened. Now he's NFL ready not just physically, but emotionally. And yet, the Browns continue to pretend like he's a long-term project, not a real-time option. And the double standard is exhausting. Let's be honest. If Shedeur looked different, if his dad wasn't Deion Sanders, if he didn't carry himself with the confidence that terrifies conservative front offices, we'd be having a very different conversation. He'd be the darling of training camp, the steal of the draft. But instead, we're here, watching him be sidelined while less qualified quarterbacks get every opportunity to fumble forward. And fans are done pretending not to see it. Social media has been flooded with clips of Shedeur's reps. Every sharp throw, every tight spiral, every audible call. Fans are editing their own highlight reels because the team refuses to promote him. There's a growing resistance forming around Shedeur, not just because of what he could be, but because of what the organization is trying to prevent him from becoming. And the players? They're starting to notice too. Veterans in the locker room, particularly on the offensive side, have started to send quiet signals, subtle endorsements, offhand praise in interviews, eye contact after huddles. They know these guys have played long enough to recognize a gamer when they see one. And Shedeur's composure under pressure is telling them everything they need to know. He's not here to learn how to be a quarterback. He is one. Meanwhile, the Browns front office looks increasingly like they're scrambling to keep control of a narrative they've already lost. The more they sideline Shedeur, the louder the questions get. The more reps they give to players with less upside, the more it looks like they're protecting egos, not building a winner. And Jimmy Haslam? His silence is becoming its own scandal. This is a man who has never shied away from the spotlight, especially when it comes to big franchise moves. But when it comes to Shedeur, suddenly he's mum. No vote of confidence. No organizational support. Just a cloud of passive-aggressive decision-making and an owner who looks more like he's trying to avoid being wrong than trying to help his team win. People like Stephen A. Smith and Louis Riddick don't just throw around accusations lightly. When they say a player is being sabotaged, it's because they've seen the playbook before. And what's happening with Shedeur fits it exactly. Undermine confidence. Limit reps. Question maturity. Hide behind a rookie curve, while grooming a lesser threat for the starting role. And let's be real, the Browns have everything to gain by getting this right. Shedeur Sanders could be the biggest rookie quarterback story of the year. He has the talent, the fan engagement, the media savvy, and the leadership instincts to become a face of the franchise. Instead, they're treating him like a distraction. It's almost poetic how badly this is being mishandled. In a league where quarterback depth is everything, the Browns have a potential star on their hands, and they're pushing him out of frame like an unwanted extra. And all because of pride. Because admitting Shedeur deserves a shot means admitting they misjudged him in the draft. It means giving some credit to Deion. It means acknowledging that sometimes the best man doesn't come from their boardroom favorites. And that's the rub, isn't it? This isn't just about Shedeur. This is about the NFL's ongoing discomfort with quarterbacks who don't wait their turn, who don't shrink themselves, who don't perform deference just to be accepted. Shedeur isn't trying to fit in. He's trying to stand out. And the league, as always, doesn't know what to do with that. But whether the Browns like it or not, this story isn't fading. If anything, it's about to explode. Because if Shedeur even gets one preseason quarter to shine, it's over. The narrative is already loaded. The expectations are sky high. And the tape? It won't lie. If he balls out, the calls for him to start will go nuclear. Fans won't be silenced. Analysts will demand answers. And the front office will have to either embrace the truth or go down fighting it. There's still time to fix this. The Browns could pivot. They could open up the competition. They could acknowledge the talent in front of them and lean into the future instead of clinging to the past. They could make a decision that isn't rooted in ego, but in winning. But that window is closing fast. Because if they keep trying to keep Shedeur Sanders hidden, they're not just sabotaging a player. They're sabotaging themselves. And when the time comes, the receipts will be brutal. The fans will remember. The media will remind them. And Shedeur? He'll still be standing, calm and collected, just like he has been since day one. Ready, waiting, and very much still rising. And here's the thing no one in the Browns front office seems to understand. This is bigger than Shedeur Sanders now. Yes, it started with him, his draft slide, his camp performance, the bizarre lack of opportunity. But this story has become the latest flashpoint in a much broader pattern, one that football fans, analysts, and players are tired of seeing play out. The wait-your-turn leash for black quarterbacks, the legacy bias, the egos that can't handle change unless it's handpicked by the old boys club upstairs. That's why the reaction has been so strong. This isn't about a rookie pouting over reps. It's about recognition. The fact that, once again, a talented young quarterback, this one with a Hall of Fame bloodline, media savvy, a refined skill set, is being told to slow down, while less talented, more traditional prospects are handed the keys without earning them. And the NFL's history here is, let's just say, not subtle. Think about how many black quarterbacks have been told to switch positions, or asked to be more coachable, or wait and learn behind a veteran. That last one's a classic. It always sounds responsible, like a smart, cautious football decision. But more often than not, it's a coded delay tactic, especially when a veteran they're waiting behind isn't playing well enough to justify the protection. Which brings us back to the Browns. Let's not pretend that the quarterback room is too crowded with talent to justify Shedeur's lack of reps after the Dylan Gabriel meltdown, an implosion that will probably be studied in sports psych courses. The room should have cleared itself. There was no reason to keep Shedeur sidelined, no excuse not to elevate him. Yet they didn't. They tried to plug the hole with depth guys and clipboard holders. Because giving Shedeur the promotion he'd earned would have meant admitting he was always better than they let on. That's the heart of it. This isn't a merit issue. It's a control issue. They didn't pick him because they believed in him. He fell to them. And now that they've seen what he can do, they're scrambling to figure out how to keep the narrative from spinning out of their hands. But that's the thing about narratives. They don't wait for permission. And Shedeur's story is writing itself whether the Browns want to be part of it or not. Let's not forget how he handled his fall in the draft. No public whining. No passive-aggressive posts. No theatrics. Just work. Quietly showing up to camp, performing like a pro, earning respect from veterans and rookies alike. That's not luck. That's leadership. And what's wild is that Shedeur has done more to represent the team-first mentality than the very organization holding him back. He's not stirring the pot. He's not creating distractions. He's absorbing the disrespect with poise, while the people above him continue to act like his success is a problem instead of a solution. And the fans? They've picked up on all of it. Look around. Every Shedeur throw from camp is being clipped, shared, analyzed, rewatched. Fans are engaging with his performance more than the supposed starters. Every post that includes him spikes in engagement. Even bootleg jerseys are selling out. You don't get that kind of response by accident. You get it when the people watching know what the team refuses to admit. Shedeur isn't just talented, he's ready. And the clock is ticking on how long Cleveland can pretend otherwise. Even in the building, the vibes are shifting. Coaches may not say out loud, but they know when a player's being iced out unfairly. Assistant staff, equipment guys, even players on defense, people notice patterns. They know when a guy is being overcoached or when the leash is shorter for one quarterback than the others. They've seen it all before. And what they're seeing now, a fifth-round rookie doing everything right, outworking, outpreparing, and outperforming guys ahead of him, and still being treated like a developmental long shot. How long before that starts to fracture the locker room? Because for all the talk about team unity and doing what's best for the organization, there's nothing more toxic than seeing management refuse to reward excellence. That's how you lose a team. That's how bitterness creeps in. That's how faith in leadership starts to rot from the inside out. And let's not pretend the locker room isn't talking about it. These guys watch the same tape we do. They see the throws. They hear the crowd react to Shedeur in open practices. They feel the electricity when he takes the field. They've seen what happens when he walks into the huddle, how it changes. That's something no coach can scheme around. That's real momentum. And no amount of rep shuffling or coach speak can suppress it forever. So what's the Browns' end game here? Because right now, they're playing a very risky game of suppression, hoping Shedeur stays patient, hoping the fans cool off, hoping the analysts stop asking questions, hoping they can delay long enough to buy themselves time to frame the narrative how they want it. But here's the truth. They're already too late. And when that happens, the fallout won't just be about reps. It'll be about reputation.